Welcome back, everybody. This is Mr. Fatta, and in today's FattaCast, I'm going to show you how I can draw box letters and make them look 3D by drawing letters that have consistent height, width, and thickness, and adding a short line at 30-degree angle from each corner or edge of the letters, and then adding a parallel line to show the other side of the letter. So I'm going to start here with a baseline on the top and a baseline on the bottom. Okay, they don't have to be all too large. It's 3 letters I'm doing, so I'm going to divide this into 3 spaces here, like this, and I'm going to leave a little space between them. Okay, so each letter is going to be about that big, but I need a little bit of space between the letters for this one. I said I was going to do an S, and for that I'm going to give myself a center line, because an S requires a curve. Well, actually, I'm going to do ovals here. Okay. So it looks like that, because the S will follow that there. An N, I said I was going to do an N, so I'm going to fit an N in here. I'm not going to take up all the space of the width of the part, but I want it to touch the top and the bottom. And I think I said a P, so I'm going to put this P in here. And this letter should be consistent with the S in that it's following this middle guideline. To get the box letter, first I'm going to establish how wide the letters are going to be, and I'm going to say they're going to be this wide. This N will be the same width, and these are serifs. It's the flat parts of the letters. Even here, this is going to have a width to it, this P, like that. So now I'll do this S, and as I sketch this letter, I'm trying to get it to be the same thickness inside here. And here too, I'm trying to get this to be the same thickness inside here. But an S is tricky because the inside of the bottom has to become the outside of the top. And then the inside of the top has to become the outside of the bottom. And work in a sketchy, fuzzy, kind of paintbrush-like line. Okay, and sketch it gradually. Don't push too hard on it. You're sketching, you're planning something out. Now the N is pretty easy. It's one of the easier letters to do because it's really just a series of rectangles and what I guess could be known as a parallelogram. Okay, because this has to stretch to this corner and this has to stretch to this corner, and these are parallel lines that I'm doing. Even the S is supposed to be parallel. It is. It's a little thinner than the N, I noticed, but I can come back and fix that later. Then here is my vertical to the N. And then here's the other side of the N. Notice I'm thinning it out a little bit from the top line, judging it from seeing this letter with that one. So it looks like I have to widen my S a little bit. I'm now going to do the P, and here's the vertical to the P. And then the inside of the P is I'm looking at the space between here. When you draw parallel lines, try to look at the space between the lines. Don't necessarily stare at the line you're drawing. I'm trying to look at the space here. I might even make this a little lower than the baseline. So I have S and P. Again, I said I wanted to widen my S a little bit, so I might just come in and kind of try to thicken this letter a little bit here and there where it seems to be thin. And you could erase. It's not necessary though. You could actually leave the sketchy lines. It's fine. So now, here's that part where I draw the angle. For this one, I'm going to go down. I always went up the last couple, but I'm just going to go down. And you don't have to go far. In fact, the longer you make it, the harder it is to draw. So don't go too thick with it. I'm going down at a 30-degree angle here. 30 degrees. And it's good to do them all at the same time because your hand is kind of repeating a motion. And it's easier to make them all the same angle when you keep repeating that motion. I would even lightly sketch the opposite side that you normally wouldn't see, all right, so that way you could gauge how wide it's supposed to be. Like this corner I'm not going to see unless it was made of glass. And actually it will have this glassy effect, a see-through transparent effect. So I have all the corners complete except that one. And you're looking for all the corners or edges. That's why it says edges, particularly with the S and the P even. All right, see, I make a line at the same angle. So that's the depth, the deepness of the letter. And now the last part of the target was just use a parallel line. So this vertical is easy to draw because it's vertical, right? This vertical here is opposite to this one. It corresponds to that one. It's a good idea also to sketch the line you already have so that your hand is making just a repeated motion. So give it like a dry run, like this, this. You get a feel for the direction. Because once you have your hand in a position to do this, it's only a matter of moving it over slightly to do the same motion. Okay. Here too. This is this. Now this is tricky here because it's a curve. So what we kind of do here is we put this line here, because this is where that is going to end, and here too. And I'm going to go to here, you see? So this is going to curve to that. Okay, now I'm not going to see that, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. That's the tricky part right there. Here, this is going to curve around like this. You don't really see such a straight line. It's going to curve around and be parallel for a little while until it comes down to here. Now, curves are different. They stop being parallel. See, this has to actually touch this other line just as the curve starts to curve. Okay, so it's going to disappear under here, and it would actually continue like this. You see? So really, this line is doing this. It's doing something like that. Okay, it's just further away. Because that's the S, which is probably the hardest one to do. I mean, I'm not doing such a great job here either. But there it is. That's the 3D effect there. I'm missing one here. This is going to go to here. Okay, and now the P goes from here to there, and from here to here. It's actually the P is doing this. See, so if it was made of glass, we would see that. But we're showing that it's not. So I'm going to darken the lines that we see now. The lines the forward lines and the back lines, as if it was a solid object. But for the time being, as you practice, you can kind of imagine that they are transparent letters. Okay, and I'm just darkening the front of the letter. Okay, here's the front of the letter, and then darkening the back of the letter where I would see it. And I'll leave, oh man, and I'll leave, it came off my line there. Okay, I'm trying not to push too hard either because I don't want to ruin the paper beneath it. Okay, now I could kind of darken this a little bit. And again, I could keep that sketch. I don't have to use a contour line just yet. Okay, and there you have it, everybody. I could draw box letters and make them look 3D by drawing letters that have consistent height, width, and thickness, and adding a short line at 30-degree angle from each corner and each edge of the letter, and adding a parallel line to show the other side of the letter.